Tonight, Texas A&M students are saying no more after a student dies from COVID-19. We hear what students are demanding. Plus, folks in the Brazos Valley are helping our neighbors near the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Nicholas hit Texas. We see the impact. And this week in Small Business Week. We talk with One Bryan Small Business about how it's surviving during COVID-19.
Connecting the Brazos Valley. This is KRHD News.
Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Hallie Jones. Earlier this afternoon, Texas A&M students gathered at Academic Plaza on campus to protest the university not having stronger enforcements against COVID-19 after the death of a student last week. I was at the protest earlier, and the message is simple: no more student deaths.
Save our students! No more death!
That is the main message of Tuesday afternoon's protest on Academic Plaza.
We hope to provide an environment where individuals do not fear getting an education and also feel safe to go to class, which would involve increased masks, of course, vaccinations, and also a remote option.
Online options are a must! A&M is on just!
Amanda Harvey and Neo Coit are two of the organizers of Tuesday's protest. They, along with most of the students in attendance, did not personally know Kristen Arrero, but believe the university should do more to protect its students. Monday, Texas A&M's Chief Operations Officer Greg Hartman telling KRHD News the university is doing all they can within the regulations of the state of Texas.
Any idea that there's a lack of concern is just incorrect. We're doing absolutely everything we can, and we're constantly looking for other ways that we can possibly, strengthen our efforts wherever that may be.
With that being said, I think there's a lot more that can be done than just vaccinations and mask mandates. I do not see why there's any reason we can't offer an online option.
Students hoping that Tuesday's protest is just the first step in a new direction of Texas A&M's fight against COVID-19.
The university needs to fight for, accommodations for us and for the safety of our campus. And hopefully we'll have some direct change with that as well.
And Texas A&M is one of the best public universities in the nation, according to a new report. Forbes has ranked A&M the 17th best public school. Forbes used graduation rates, student debt, return on investment, and alumni data and other factors to determine the ranking. A&M was also ranked as the 10th best school in the South. For the past 2 years, small businesses have been resilient, and it's been tough for some to find a way to survive. As we celebrate Small Business Week, many small businesses credit locals for keeping their business going. For those that survived the pandemic, Small Business Week takes on a new meaning this year. Chrissy Sayers, manager of Bird's Nest in downtown Bryan, says like many other small businesses, their survival depends on word of mouth.
The last 2 years have been difficult, but I would say that we really rallied together and came through it. So our downtown area, the locals really frequented our stores and made a point of shopping local, and that makes a huge difference, and we made it through.
Business owners say just walking through their doors makes a huge difference.
Since schools reopened, we're seeing a drastic rise in COVID cases among kids. The American Academy of Pediatrics reports a 240% increase since July. Now, kids now account for nearly 30% of all cases in the country. Health experts say school vaccine mandates may be the best way to combat this, but they're urging parents with young kids to get vaccinated for their protection. Many parents who have already done that are still eager to get their kids under 12 vaccinated. One way to do that is by enrolling them in vaccine trials. But you may want to make sure you're doing this safely. A doctor we spoke with from Tufts Children's Hospital says be sure you're going directly to the Moderna or Pfizer website. From there, you can type in your zip code to find a COVID vaccine trial near you. Now, talking with your pediatrician's office can also be a good way to find a trial and get more information. But keep in mind that it's not always guaranteed your child will get vaccinated if they're a part of this trial.
Oftentimes they are comparing the vaccine to a placebo. So there is a chance that their child could enroll in the study and not receive vaccine. And these studies are also what's called blinded. So neither the researcher, the nurse administering the vaccine, nor the parents or the child receiving the injection will know if they've gotten the actual vaccine or not.
Dr. Chow says it's important to keep practicing COVID precautions as your child goes through the trial for this reason. And as always with clinical trials, there should be potential side effects, but be sure to consult with your child's pediatrician first and thoroughly read through the consent form that will detail the possible side effects. But as doctors have been saying from the start, the benefits of the vaccine greatly outweigh the risks. And we now have vaccine data from millions of people around the world. Vaccinating your child can benefit others around them.
They protect those more vulnerable children so they can also attend school. And these are oftentimes their friends and neighbors, and as it's being a good neighbor and being a good friend.
Now, the CDC expects a vaccine to be approved for kids under 12 by the end of the year. New research shows the environment is having a negative impact on kids' mental health. Coming up next in our lineup, the empowering call to action for moms to help create a safer future for their families.
As Tropical Storm Nicholas finishes up its pass through Texas, several Texas A&M Task Force 1 units remain deployed along the coast. The worst of the Tropical Storm Nicholas has passed through the Lone Star State, but still a sleepless night for Texas A&M Task Force 1 boat squads making rescues and helping local response agencies in the areas that face the greatest impact. The southern part of the coast was sparred, leading boat squads to reposition themselves to the upper eastern coast and near the Louisiana border. Now units are assessing the area.
Our crews will be out running around their areas, getting some real-time on-the-ground data to be able to feed back to the state so they can make a determination of how much longer we'll be out.
Texas A&M Task Force 1 boat squads are hoping to go home tomorrow, depending on where they're stationed. And the Salvation Army of Bryan College Station sent its mobile feeding unit down to the coast today to help anyone affected by Tropical Storm Nicholas. Dwayne Walters, a volunteer with the Salvation Army, prepared the food truck for its 132-mile journey to Freeport earlier this afternoon. Walters and a fellow volunteer coming in from Austin will spend several days in the truck helping out in coastal communities.
We understand that there's some significant flooding. We understand that Tropical Storm Nicholas was Tropical Storm, or actually a Hurricane Nicholas, for a short period of time. So therefore we anticipate some wind damage, some power outages, things like that.
The group and other organizations will take food and supplies, then cook in the truck and serve to storm victims and first responders. The mobile unit will be able to supply up to 2,000 daily meals to those in need for as many days as they are requested. Additionally, the Salvation Army of Bryan College Station will offer assistance such as hotel vouchers to evacuees who take refuge in Aggieland. Right now, more than 200,000 people are without power in Texas after a strike from Hurricane Nicholas. The storm has now weakened to a tropical depression and is taking aim at the already hard-hit state of Louisiana. Chris Wynn has the latest from the ground in the Gulf Coast.
Streets turned to rivers, homes submerged by rising floodwaters, and uprooted trees taking out homes. Nicholas unleashing its watery wrath on Texas and is aiming straight for an already devastated Louisiana.
The bottom line is much of Louisiana, central and south Louisiana, is projected to receive a lot of rain. That has already started. And one of the most distressing parts of this is the heaviest rain now is expected to fall in areas that were most devastated by Hurricane Ida.
Nicholas is a slow-moving disaster, moving at the same pace as the average person walks, around 3 miles per hour. Hard-hit areas of Louisiana are now bracing for another catastrophe.
That's particularly challenging because many individuals live in homes that are have not yet been repaired and not yet really even been temporarily repaired to the point where they can withstand rain.
And for people still living without power weeks after Hurricane Ida, Louisiana's governor says Nicholas may reverse restoration efforts.
We also suspect that there will be some of these homes and businesses that have begun to receive power again after Hurricane Ida that may lose it because of Nicholas.
Reporting in the Gulf Coast, I'm Chris Wynn.
Matt Hines is standing by with a look at our weather.
And we have seen a few showers here across the Brazos Valley today, and it's been a gray day on the west side of Nicholas. And that really is the drier side, even though we've seen a couple of showers out there. Cloudy, few sprinkles and showers from time to time, 74 degrees. Winds around the northeast at 10 miles per hour on the backside of the circulation. And it appears that we may see a little drizzle and some shower activity, but it'll be relatively light for tonight. And clouds and radar showing things are pretty quiet around here, with the exception of some clouds and again a few of those sprinkles and light showers. All the heaviest of the rain is over into the Sabine River Valley and then heading over into Louisiana. It looks like the center of circulation very near Beaumont, Port Arthur right now, and that will continue to work its way off toward Lake Charles, and you can see where all the rain is extending across parts of Louisiana, and that's the last thing those folks need right now because of Ida just a couple of weeks ago. But for us, we will have mostly cloudy skies tonight. Again, an isolated shower or two will be possible through the morning hours. Then tomorrow, probably a less than 20% chance of a shower as our remnants of Nicholas will continue to push off toward the east, but some clouds will remain. So hopefully temperatures at or slightly below normal. Then we get to Thursday, and I think maybe a few clouds, but I do think that the rain chances will be going away and temperatures will continue to go up as we approach the end of the week. But tonight, temperatures down into the upper 60s and low 70s, not looking too bad at all. 70 is the normal low, so very close to that. Then tomorrow, highs, lower 90s is where we're supposed to be. Probably mid to upper 80s, so a little bit below normal for us. We'll go 89 Bryan College Station, 88 Hearn, and 85 in Madisonville with maybe some thicker cloud cover there. And looking at your 10-day forecast, 80s turn into low 90s as we head into Thursday with some more sunshine. 94 on Friday, Saturday into Sunday, highs in the mid-90s. Isolated thunderstorms will be possible Sunday and Monday, maybe a slightly better chance Tuesday. Then Wednesday, scattered thunderstorms will be a possibility as the front gets closer to the area, and hopefully that cools us off a little bit by the end of next week.
A new nonprofit marketing group, the Potential Energy Coalition, found more than 60% of Americans are concerned about climate change and the environment, but only 14% talk about this issue often.
Our window to act on climate change is like watching them grow up. We blink and we miss it.
In my case, my 17-year-old made me do it. He's like, Dad, you've been in communications for 30 years. Why don't you start helping with this issue? Which is, I think, how a lot of change happens, that our younger generation prompts us to do that.
That's why the Potential Energy Coalition has teamed up with the Ad Council and another group called Science Moms on a new campaign to empower parents to discuss climate change. Now, Science Moms is a group of climate scientists who are also mothers looking to educate, empower, and inspire moms through relatable information.
And so just connecting, I think also, our communication probably hasn't been the best at times as scientists, right? We're using words that people don't understand. And so they kind of just push this to the side, right? This is not something that matters to me because I have no idea what you're saying, right? And so we can provide them with the information, and we can talk about things like, if you live in Colorado, maybe, when your child is an adult, it's going to be more like what Arizona is like, like making things that are relatable as to what impacts that you can see, your family can see what you'll experience in the future.
Climate research scientist Melissa Bird is one of the founding members of Science Moms. Their website is loaded with resources for families on climate change, like books, videos, and simple tools to take action. While the problem may seem complex, the message is simple.
You always want the next generation to have something better than what you had. And I want all of the moms and the parents to kind of join me on this front row seat to really use their voice and empower them to be a part of that movement for change.
We've all experienced what happened over the last several months with the extreme heat and the drought and the water shortages and the fires and the floods. Climate change is here, and we have kind of a small window of opportunity to act, but it's not too late.
Well, the shortage of school nurses is putting a strain on districts amid the pandemic. Ahead in our lineup, why hiring agencies that are supposed to be helping are actually bringing up new problems. 1/4 of schools nationwide don't have a school nurse assigned to them. Dan Grossman found some districts are beginning to turn to hiring agencies to help find school nurses amid a shortage.
When talking about triumphs that have come for those tasked with keeping our kids safe from COVID,
I wish I could say there was a lot.
The triumphs have been few and far between.
A lot of it became exhaustion, pure exhaustion of the level of work.
Julie Wilkin works as the Director of Health Services for Jeffco Public Schools in Colorado, a district that has lost more than 30% of its nurse working force in only the last 4 months.
They're not only adding on the work of COVID, but now they're adding on additional schools and additional work on top of it.
The district serves 80,000 kids and 50,000 employees across 143 schools. It has 73 nurses.
My family life took a hit. You know, I wasn't home.
Ones like Monica Wood to handle them all.
We were working late nights, we were working weekends. I mean, some of us were putting in 60, 70 hours plus a week.
The problem is nationwide. The National Association of School Nurses says only 40% of schools in the country have a full-time registered nurse on staff. 35% have a part-time registered nurse, and the remaining 25% don't have one at all.
I was going to be a mentor this year for a new nurse, and I was assigned. We met once, and then she, you know, it wasn't for her, so she moved on to something else. We lose a lot of knowledge in the schools when we have turnover, and that knowledge is it's so important.
To handle the issues, districts have started using hiring agencies to fill the gaps, but those have brought issues of their own. The nurses may not have worked in a school before or are brand new to the profession, and they cost a lot more. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows school nurses on average make nearly $20,000 less than their counterparts in hospitals each year, but the agencies charge what those in hospitals make. With districts already on tight budgets as they've adjusted to COVID, it can be hard to find the money.
I take that very personally and very professionally, that I want to keep our schools open.
With fewer people applying to become full-time registered nurses in schools, the solution has been hard to grasp in this profession built on compassion and care.
You know, as I've been a year and a half into this, the schools are important and they need nurses.
I'm Dan Grossman.
You may have seen this in your own family or someone you know. Adults losing their independence as they get older. It can be heartbreaking. But Vanessa Machanya found new research shows it's not just genetics determining how long you remain independent. It's connected to your zip code.
Think about your location, your zip code. Maybe you're there because you moved for work, or maybe because your family has never known another one. Maybe you're there because you had nowhere else to go. Of all the things that determine it, your zip code may actually be a major factor in how long you live independently.
One finding leads to another, leads to another.
Dr. Thomas Gill is a professor at Yale, and for the last 22 years, he and his team of researchers have been following a group of more than 750 senior citizens, interviewing them every month and documenting changes in their functions. More than 100 papers have been published about different findings from this study. The latest one paired their research with what's called the Area Deprivation Index, a tool by the University of Wisconsin which quantifies the level of advantage or disadvantage a neighborhood has, down to the zip code.
And we compared those who were living in neighborhoods that were disadvantaged versus those who were in more advantaged neighborhoods and found fairly striking findings.
What they found is that those in their study living in more advantaged neighborhoods were able to stay independent for more than 2 years than those living in disadvantaged neighborhoods. Dr. Gill foresees these findings having both policy, such as making a case for more available housing in advantaged neighborhoods, and clinical applications.
Just making clinicians aware that it's not necessarily individual decisions that are leading to these poor outcomes, but there's this overlay of disadvantage at a higher level, this neighborhood level, that are posing really immense challenges.
When an older adult loses their independence, it can have severe financial impacts to their family. A 2015 survey by the AARP and the National Association of Caregivers reported that 36% of caregivers have moderate to high levels of financial strain. So how can you prevent losing independence for as long as possible? Dr. Gill recommends 150 minutes of exercise a week, starting as soon as you can. And that exercise can be as simple as walking.
There's more evidence to support that than almost any other type of medical intervention. There's no pill that as effective as physical activity, particularly walking.
Proactive thinking to hopefully stave off letting your zip code determine your future. I'm Vanessa Mashanya reporting.
Vanessa, thank you for that. Well, coming up last in our lineup, car warranty scams are expected to be the top phone scam this year. But while these are trying to get your personal info and money, there are plenty of legitimate plans that consumer advocates say may not be worth your money. Well, if you haven't received at least one car warranty scam already this year, consider yourself lucky. RoboKiller estimates they'll be the top phone scam this year. It's projecting nearly $13 billion of this type of scam call in 2021. RoboKiller estimates car warranty robocalls will be the biggest phone scam since it started monitoring robocalls trends in 2017. Now, there are plenty of legitimate extended car warranty plans available, but there are differences between the contracts sold by third parties versus those sold by new car dealerships. The nonprofit Consumers Checkbook found a lot of the third-party ones particularly may not be worth your money.
It was page after page of things the policy excludes, and we really had a hard time understanding what it might even cover.
And those exclusions include not covering braking systems, exhaust systems, or catalytic converter seals.
Even when the policies do cover a repair you might need, we found that a lot of these companies have thousands of complaints lodged against them with the Better Business Bureau and other consumer agencies about denial of claims.
Consumers Checkbook also found third-party companies using deceptive sales practices. These are things like robocalls pretending to be the car manufacturer or sending out mailers that make it seem like it's coming from either the state DMV or the car maker. Consumers Checkbook says at a dealership, the extended warranty they're selling has been approved by the manufacturer. There are still some exclusions around what they cover, but they don't appear to deny claims nearly as much as third-party companies. Still, consumer experts say you may not need one of these extended warranties.
If you've bought a new car, it's going to come with a 3 to 5 year warranty. And the new car warranties that exist, those that you get from auto manufacturers, are pretty good. If you've bought a car and within the first few years, you notice that there's problems with it and you feel like, well, I probably should get covered for future repairs, or Consumer Reports or some other, reputable authority says, this car has a track record of problems, then I guess consider buying one of these plans.
But he does recommend calling multiple dealers and letting them know you are shopping around. Well, the push is on at some zoos to vaccinate animals against COVID-19. Tomorrow, the symptoms animals show before some of them test positive for the virus.
Jimmy Kimmel is up next. Good Morning Texas is on the air tomorrow starting at 5 a.m. Thanks for joining us.